Will be participating in the 4 Summit Challenge. It's a grueling 75-mile bike ride through the mountains near Cascade. As News Channel 7's Ty Brennan found out, in the crowd of bikers is going to be one rider with an extraordinary story of survival, determination, and a passion to succeed. Ty brings us the story of the 34-year-old. You'll see it only on 7.
Justin Shields is training for one of the most extreme bike rides of his life. The 4 Summit Challenge in Cascade, a brutal 75-mile ride gaining 6,000 feet in elevation. However, just 2 years ago, this is something Shields never thought he'd be able to do. That's because in February 2008, a stroke would test his limits, both physically and mentally.
I saw like little flashes of light, like when you rub your eyes, you see flashes of light.
Shields was training for his first ever Ironman triathlon, a dream he'd had for years. He returned home late one night after a vigorous workout at the gym.
I ran really hard for an hour, and then I swam for an hour.
He felt tired, run down, but brushed it off, thinking he'd trained too hard. He went to bed, hoping to sleep it off.
Throughout the night, I kept on waking up, feeling this really lethargic, heavy side. But I just kept on thinking it was attributed to me sleeping it wrong.
But in the morning, when he woke up, he was paralyzed on his right side. He fell out of bed and had to crawl to his cell phone.
I knew what the phone was, but I didn't know how to operate it.
The stroke affected his cognition. He spent the next hour typing out an incoherent text message to his brother.
The text that came over made no sense at all. It wasn't even formed words. And he called me up and he said, "Are you okay?"
That's when he realized he couldn't even speak.
And he goes, "Man, if you need help, hit the phone or something."
He hit the phone on the headboard, and his brother rushed over to help. Dr. Mary River is a neurologist at St. Alphonsus Medical Center in Boise, where Shields was treated. She says Justin suffered an artery dissection, a rare type of stroke for anyone, especially someone of his age.
What happens is the blood is trying to go up the artery so that it can feed oxygen and glucose to that portion of the brain that particular artery supplies. If it can't get up there, then the area of tissue that the artery supplies essentially is starved of oxygen, and then it dies.
Shields' recovery was long. A week in the ICU, a month-long recovery in the hospital, and countless exhaustive hours of speech, physical, and occupational therapy over the past 2 years. He had to learn to do everything over again, from walking to talking.
I didn't want to live without the use of my body, so it was a really motivating factor for me to continue on and just overcome the obstacles.
But Justin says some days are easier than others.
There's been some bad days, I must admit, but for the most part, I just look past them as you know, I'll have to go through those periods of frustration in order to achieve my goal.
2 years after his stroke, Shields is once again working on realizing his dream of being an Ironman triathlete. Although he can't run yet, he's back on his bike, only this time he's joined by his brother Paul, who started riding with him after the stroke.
It was difficult to see him laying in bed and trying to explain or not explain or speak about what was going on, but I always knew he would make it. I knew he'd be he'd make it to the top, no problem.
And to the top is where they're headed.
I'm not going to give up something that I love to do because I have deficits. I may not do them as well as I have before, but I'll do them.
In Boise, Ty Brennan, Idaho's News, Channel 7.
What a comeback there. Justin tells us he is determined to participate one way or another in an Ironman triathlon. Now, in his spare time, he also volunteers his time speaking to stroke patients in recovery around the Treasure Valley. Right now on KTBV.com, we have a link to the St. Alphonsus website with information about strokes and also the warning signs.
Well, you may have seen it earlier tonight here on 7. The Summer Wind skippers found out if their jump rope